always wear your seatbelt. I've thrown away a lot of money in my life on pretty dumb things. I bought a hippopotamus once. I bargained the guy down from $10,000 to $800. Of course, it's possible he never owned a hippo in the first place. So I know what it's like to stupidly throw money away, which is what you're risking every time you don't wear your seatbelt. Wear your gosh darn seatbelts, folks, and tune into Season 4 of the Ron Burgundy Podcast on June 3rd.
Paid for by NHTSA.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer.
Look at him go! He suddenly runs out of his shoe. He's running so fast.
And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience, playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just nailed.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number to call is 937-457-9464. Again, 937-457-9464. You can hit me on my Twitter handle also, at KAB41, with your questions, comments, and concerns, and all that other good stuff. Guys, we're still in the midst of the coronavirus. We are not done. Don't relax. Guys, we got the ball. We're in the red zone right now. We're rushing toward the end zone to try to get behind it. But now's not the time to make stupid mistakes and say, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, keep my social distance. I'm not going to wear my mask. I'm just going to sneeze and cough over everybody. You shouldn't do that anyway, even before the pandemic. But, hey, guys, let's continue to look out for one another and get back to, somewhere normal in our lives, and of course in our sports lives as well. We want to have some kind of continuity. You're watching the NBA playoff games, the last couple of nights and for the next couple of weeks, for that matter, and you don't see jam-packed arenas, but you see people. You don't see cardboard cutouts except for the LA game, but overall you're seeing people. And that makes a little bit of a difference. The crowd noise is getting in. They're not 100% capacity. Some of them are 30%. Other arenas are 50%, but you got people. And that's important. I know the Cincinnati Reds are going to allow a certain capacity starting in June. They're going to up their numbers. And so you get a chance to cheer for it's going to be full. They're going to really up their numbers. They're going to be full come June. So now everybody can get there and cheer for your Reds and the Indians and all your other favorite Ohio sports teams. So that's going to be awesome. So let's continue to do that and, do what we have to do, get vaccinated. I'm waiting for about 7:27 or 7:30 tonight. I may find out if I'm a millionaire because I did sign up for the Vax a Million here in the state of Ohio. I don't know if you did. I hope you didn't, because that would only increase my chances. So I think we're all going to be waiting. Sort of next 4 weeks, there's going to be 4 winners or 4 or 5 winners, but hopefully I'll be that winner tonight because I got my 2 shots of Pfizer. So I got vaccinated. I went on and the website and signed up. So, hey, who can use $1 million? I was going to say extra million, but you got to have 1 million to have an extra million. But who doesn't want to win $1 million? So we'll find out tonight, whether or not I want it. You probably don't care if I want it or not. You want to make sure if you want it. But nevertheless, let's at least we're vaccinated. You got to be vaccinated to even have your name, in the hamper, in the hopper, if you will. Guys, Black Lives do matter. It's not a slogan, it's a movement. And things are happening, things are changing, maybe not as fast as we all, as I think they should move, but they are starting, the wheels are moving in one direction. So let's keep that together and let's stamp out systematic racism in any area, of our lives. And let's just take our time and be kind to one another, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's just a real simple rule. It's in the Bible. Just do unto others as you had them do unto you. So let's do that. Let's look out for each other, and let's do that. So that being said, let's feel my public service announcements. Let's talk some sports. And today's show is going to be a little different than what I normally, because normally I talk about what's happening, the past weekend. NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball. So I can still talk about all those things. I'll get into some of that. But right now, I'm just going to answer the question that I get, probably the most popular question that I get, from parents and whatnot. And they say, what advice do I have for young players? So, I always get that question, and it depends on who I'm talking to and what specifically they're asking me about. I may go into details, but I'm going to answer that question for you, and I'm going to interplay that with the advice that I had as a kid and where I was coming up, because I just didn't just step my feet on Ohio State's campus one day. I just didn't walk into the locker room of the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. Well, before any of that happened, I was that kid here in Dayton, Ohio, that, so if his kids are, in the greater Dayton area and all around the country for that matter, where their parent may come to me, hey, what advice you have for a young player? So I didn't have the luxury of asking that question to anybody. My path and journey was built through, hard work and getting as much education as I could, whether it be through my parents, through my coaches, through magazines, television. I just used everything that came to me. So getting back to the question. So the question is, what advice do I have for young players? And it's really a lot of answers, but one of them is that, does your child want to play the sport that you're having playing? Does he want to play it? Does she want to play it? Or do you want them to play it? Your child has to love their sport or want to play their sport. And I understand it's a fine line from, well, my child doesn't know what he wants, so I'm introducing, him, to this. I had a conversation last week with Ryan Shazier, and he that's funny. He asked, he said, Keith, what sports you think I'd put my kids in? And, Ryan Shazier, All-American linebacker at Ohio State, Pittsburgh Steeler, great. And unfortunately, his career got cut short because of that spinal injury that he had. But he has a couple kids with his young son. He's like, man, I want my son to play everything, So when I told him I played baseball first, he said, baseball? You played baseball as a kid? What did you play? Football. And what else? Football some more. He said, but no, I want to introduce my son to a lot of other sports. And I said, good, man. Whatever. So he said, I'm going to let my son play tennis, hockey, baseball. I'm like, great. So that is my number one thing. Let your child want to play the sport, and, don't say you're going to be a one-dimensional athlete. Let them be multidimensional. Let the kid want to do it. Growing up, I played, once I got to high school, I ended up playing 4 sports in high school. My high school years, I played football, basketball, baseball, and ran track. But going back to the genesis of what was my first sport that I played as a child was baseball. Excuse me. Why baseball? Well, my father, was a baseball player, not professionally, not in college, but, he played a little bit in the military. And growing up, we used to play a big softball player. So all over the city of Dayton, as a child, this time of the year, we're going to go watch my father play softball. So my mother it was 5 of us kids, and she would bundle all of us up. Let's go. She had a blanket and a couple things. Let's lay the blanket out and watch my father play softball. And so that I gravitated toward baseball first, because that was the first sport that I ever played organized, was baseball. And watching my father, he was my first hero. Watching my father cover the outfield and take extra bases on the softball diamond, that was inspiring to me. I wanted to be. What kid doesn't want to be like his father when he has a positive father influence in his house? So that's how I chose baseball. Now I'm left-handed. My father was right-handed, but he batted left, but he threw right, and we didn't have any gloves in the house for me. So I would pick up one of my father's gloves and play with my brothers and play catch with them. So I would catch the ball with my left hand, snatch the glove off, throw it back with my left hand, and put the glove back on before the ball came back. before, so I taught myself how to play catch. You're watching people. So my father never sat down and said, let me teach you how to play catch. I taught myself. I'm sitting there, you vision, you see it, you go do it. So that's how I started off playing baseball. And then I finally got my own glove. I'm like, I finally got a left-handed glove. But I was happy, but it didn't stop me from getting it. So encourage your child to play whatever sport there is. My first sport was baseball. My father didn't snatch the glove. Well, hey, you shouldn't be playing baseball. You need to be playing football. But I always grew up loving sports. Whatever was on TV, that was my favorite sport at the time. If it's in the football, I'm a football fanatic. If it's in the winter, I'm dead, all about basketball. And if it's in the spring and summer, it's all about baseball. And I saw, I went in that cycle playing all those sports and loving it. So I wrote down a couple of notes. So you have to, if you want to be, great or good or successful, that's probably the best word I should use. If you want to be successful in sports, especially as a young athlete, and this is, hopefully some of these kids may be listening to the show, but hopefully, I know the parents are listening. Successful it's not based upon what others say. Having a successful athletic career is when the athlete looks in the mirror after every contest and say, I gave it my best. Regardless of what the scoreboard said, regardless of what his performance said, as long as a child give his best effort, he was successful. He was successful. That is it's not, I scored 30 points in a basketball game, or I scored 4 touchdowns, I hit 3 home runs. Yes, that's a form, that's a part of the success. But I think sometimes the parents put the wrong kind of pressure on their kids about what is successful. So successful is giving your best effort. You have to give your best effort. You give all you got. When I was in Philadelphia, I had a coach. He said, as a coach, all I want is all you got. And I was like, he said, it's just that simple. And there's no reason why not to give all you have. So that's what my parents, stress for me, just go all out. They never put pressure on me. Keith, you need to hit a home run today. Hey, you need to score X amount of touchdowns today. I never heard that in my household. Even from a young child, I never heard that. Just go out there and be your best. If you go out there and you're not giving your best, then there's going to be a problem. But that was never going to happen because I love winning, and I know it takes a certain amount of effort to win. Even though the scoreboard may not always reflect that you won, but you give your own individual winning effort every time. And for your young child, male or female, to be successful, they have to make sacrifices for their sport. If you're not willing to make sacrifices, you're not willing, to be good. You're not willing to be great. You're not willing to be the best that you can be if you won't make sacrifices for your sport. Now, what are sacrifices? Sacrifices come in a whole lot of different ways, but it boils down to sacrifice. Some people sacrifice you have to push away from that table. If you want to be in this particular shape, you got to push away. You have to watch what you eat. Even as a young child, still have to watch what you eat. You just can't eat everything. You can't drink all the sugary drinks and all that stuff. You got to make some sacrifices, yet still be a child. And my son was playing Little League football down in Florida, and it just burned me that they had these weight classes. And whatever the weight was, he started off playing, I think he's a big kid like his dad, and you got to be 85 pounds. If you're over 85 pounds, you can't play. You got to move up to the next weight. I was like, wait, no, it was 75. I'm sorry. He first started playing in 75 and under. And he was always hovering around 77, 78. And now he's got to drop weight so he can play in a game on Saturday. I'm like, this is crazy. Why? I said, it's unfair for my child to have to move up a weight class, in an age group because he's a bigger kid. That's just not fair. That's not doing anything. It's doing a child an injustice. Now, what's worse, you're making him sweat to get down to a certain weight class. Let's let him be. But I digress from that point for right now. But you have to make sacrifices. You cannot be afraid of hard work. You cannot be afraid of running an extra lap at practice, doing a little few more exercises. You can't be afraid of some hard work. And last, but certainly not least, you have to be willing to work on your weaknesses. Everybody, know what your strengths are. If you're that fast kid, you're not working on speed because you can outrun everybody on your team. But are you working on your strength? Are you strong enough? Do you jump high enough? Do you doing the fundamentals enough? Probably not, because you're just out athlete kids at a certain age. But it always catches up to you as you get older. It always catches up to you, and I just touched on it just briefly when I just mentioned the word fundamentals. That's a whole different category. Fundamentals, you break the word down, it's fun to be mental. You cannot ever get away from fundamentals of your sport, whatever your sport is, whether it be football, basketball, soccer, I don't care. You have to be fundamentally sound. You think of all the players that we love to watch, whether it's basketball season now in the NBA, whether it's football season in the NFL or baseball season, we love fundamentals. One of the reasons why you love LeBron James is that he's a fundamentally sound player. Oh, did you see that bounce pass he made? Oh, did you see that rebound? You see him box out? All those, he's got good fundamentals. Good fundamentals. And let me go back let me go back to something I just said. Don't be afraid to work on your weaknesses because your strengths are already your strengths. Now, it's NBA playoff time. My Philadelphia Sixers play tonight. And I hope the Sixers win the championship. I really do. But when you watch Ben Simmons play, all he works on every summer is his strengths. What is Ben Simmons' biggest weakness? Shooting. Free throw shooting is a glaring. He's a starting point guard in the National Basketball Association. He shoots 61% from the field. That's terrible for any position in the NBA. But a point guard, the starting point guards in the NBA are supposed to average at least 78%. Not quite 80%. You should at least shoot 78% from the free throw line. He shoots 61%. In the game Sunday, he didn't make a free throw. He was 0 for 6 for the free throw line. But he had a lot of rebounds, had a lot of assists, and he plays great defense. All things that are his strengths. His weakness is shooting the ball. He's afraid to shoot the ball. When he gets fouled, he has to shoot a free throw, and it comes up. Think about some of your other players in other sports. Do they work on their weaknesses, or they just want to work on their strengths? If you're training your young child, work on his weaknesses as much as you work on your strengths. I was a basketball player growing up, and all the way through high school. And what was the best thing I did on the basketball court? I out-hustled everybody. Was I a great shooter? No. Was I the greatest defensive player? No. I really wasn't great at anything on the basketball court except one thing, that's winning. I had all the little fundamentals, all the intangibles that creates a winner. There's 10 people on the basketball court. Was I the highest jumper out of 10 on the court? No. Was I the quickest on the court? No. But I was a winner. I knew how to, bring you back down to, to my level, which was a high level, mind you. And people ask me, who in the NBA game do you resemble yours as a child? We always put ourselves, we measure up with different people. But now that my career is over with as a basketball player, the person that played in the NBA whose game resembled mine the most was Charles Barkley without the leaping ability. I just couldn't jump as high as Charles. But everything else, if I was guarding a big man, by the end of the game, he's going to be my size. If, I'm 6'2", if I'm guarding somebody 6'4", 6'5", or 6'6", I'm going to put elbows on him. I'm going to put this big butt on him. Everything I'm going to lay on. I'm going to put this, my weight on it, and I'm going to make him bend over so he's my size. I'm not going to play his size. So all those things, you have to know who you are and honest with yourself to get it out of you. You can't be afraid of working on your craft. Now, my number one pet peeve of NBA or professional athletes in general in the 21st century, it boils down to one thing. And my number one pet peeve is, do the players love the sport they are doing, or do they love the money? It can be both, but it's rarely both. Usually you're going to love one thing over the other. You don't love things, on that level equally. Those of us who are married, we love our spouses. Do you love money more than you love your spouse? No, you love both, but one you love more. And if you love money more than your spouse, maybe you need to get another spouse. But you love your kids. You don't love your kids more than money. There's no dollar figure that they can give you that would outdo the love of your child. So I make that comparison. So when in professional sports today, I don't see enough players loving the sport. I didn't say all, because there are some that love the sport more than they love money. And I'm all about the players getting paid. I'm not hating. Please don't take that, misinterpret what I'm saying. Oh, you're hating on these guys, how much money they make. No, I'm not. Because somebody's paying them. So I mean, somebody's making more than them. So I'm all for the player to get as much money as you can. Go for it. Love it. Love that when that happens. But you have to, no matter how much money you're making, you have to love what you do. And we're talking about sports, but I'm really talking about you too. No matter what you do in life, if you don't love it, why are you doing it? I understand you have to do certain things, so you got to get this check, but you should be compassionate about your real passion is. You just said when you find out something you love, you'll never work a day again in your life. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is. Maybe not another day in your life, but you have to, because athletic careers do end. I'm a witness. They do end. But you have to love it. You have to, whether you're getting paid or not. Because I've been playing, I started off playing, sports. I don't remember when I started playing sports. That's all, I remember when I started playing organized, but I was always a sports fanatic as a kid. I remember one time, my mother used to be, they don't really have that anymore, like the newspaper counselor. People deliver your newspapers. They used to bring them to a house, and you had to stuff your own papers, and all the news carriers would come pick up their papers for their paper route and deliver them in the neighborhood. That's somebody that drives around your house at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and throws a newspaper at your door. If you still have, if you're still getting home delivered papers, people usually buy a paper or whatever. But anyway, at our house, we used to get the papers delivered to our house, and me and my brothers would be on our paper route, and some other friends in the neighborhood who was news carriers also would come in and get the houses. And then it would be a district manager would come see my mother, who was the counselor, to collect the money and, talk business, because we would get our money, pay it to my mom pay it here. Anyway, I said that to say this gentleman came over to our house one day, and I was in the front yard. It was on a Sunday evening around 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. So in the fall, it's dark at that time here in Ohio. I was outside in the front yard playing football, by myself, tackle. He was like, what? He said, wait a minute, Keith, you're playing football one-on-one by yourself. I was working on my craft. Even as a child, I was always willing to put in the work. What I used to do on a typical Sunday, watch NFL football. When it goes off, go out, emulate with some of the things I saw. I would throw the football up, catch it, juke a couple players, which was stationed, just people, figments of my imagination. And then I'll run. As I scored a touchdown, I would touch down and spike the ball. If I got tackled, I got tackled. And, all these things was going around in my head. This gentleman comes over and see me, throwing the ball up, calling signals, red 41, hut, hut, hut. I'm calling his cadence out, everything. Then the crowd was roaring. And I was like, listen to that crowd roar. I was doing all that. This guy was like parking his car, walking up to our front door, and got inside the house and said to my mother, is the nicest way he could possibly ask, was Keith okay? Was he mentally disturbed? To me, she was like, no, she just busted out laughing and said, no, that's just Keith. He does that all the time. He does it all the time. Yeah, really? Like, no, it's nothing wrong with my child. That's him. He's got dreams of someday. I knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. I always knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. Whether, I made it or not, that wasn't the question. I had to dream it first. So I'm this kid, 9, 10, 11 years old, playing football all by himself in the front yard. And just like, wow, this kid he's a little different. I was a little different. And so I'm saying that to your parents, if your child is a little different like me, it's okay. It's okay. Encourage it. My parents did. Look how I turned out. So you ain't right now. But nevertheless, I would do that. I would do that with football. I would do it in basketball. I would do it in baseball. I'd go on the side of my house and hit rocks. Not at nobody's house, into a wooded field. Into the woods. I would do things like that. But all that, were helping me. I was working on my craft, working on my eye-hand coordination, working on, dribbling the ball with both hands. Whatever it took, I always did that as a young child, and it's carried over into my adulthood. So once I got to college, once I got to high school, once I got to the pros, all the coaches that I came in contact with, it's like, man, we didn't know you can do that. I'm like, man, I've been doing this for all my life. When I got to the Eagles, they were shocked that I could catch the ball as well as I caught it. They was like, man, I didn't know you could catch the ball like that. Well, you didn't watch enough film in college. I caught the ball in college. I was the leading, pass receiver on Ohio State's football team with Chris Carter. My junior year, I was a leading receiver. It's like, wow, we overlooked that because you did lead the country in rushing and all-purpose yards and touchdown, and you should have won the Heisman Trophy. But we overlooked the stat that said you was also the team's leading receiver. And it hasn't happened at Ohio State since, a non-wide receiver being the leading receiver on the team. That's been, since 1984. That's the last time that's happened. So I always, was versatile. And that's the advice my son was a versatile athlete. And that's my advice I always give the parents. Let your child be versatile. If he only has one sport, he or she has one sport, okay, that's fine. But encourage others, especially at a young age, encourage others for other sports for them to play, because the versatility goes a long way. I'm going to talk more about that after the break. We got to take a break. We got to pay some bills around here. But you're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
You may have heard that Allstate has new low auto rates, but isn't it time to see for yourself? Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Cars and Parts Swap Meet and Car Show, bring the family.
Hot rods, muscle cars, classics. You've got to see Cars and Parts Giant Swap Meet and Car Show this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Springfield. Great family fun. Bargains on everything automotive, from railroad parts to racing collectibles. You've got to be there this weekend at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Springfield. Call 937-376-0111 for details.
Cars and Parts Swap Meet and Car Show, bring the family.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
It's Mattress Firm's best Memorial Day sale ever. For a limited time, save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, good evening, officer. A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, I'm a catch, more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Let me put my headphones on so I can even hear myself. You can hear me, but I don't hear me on the radio screens. Well, on the break, I had some Lee's. I know there's a Lee's famous recipe near you. So pull over and get you some. Let's have some coleslaw and some mac and cheese. Of course, I had some chicken, but today I had my Byars mix of my chicken fingers. I got some honey mustard and barbecue sauce. That's a mixture too. I don't know if you ever tried that combination. If you do, you know what I'm talking about. Before the break, we were talking about advice that I give to young kids and some of the advice that I heeded as a child and the way I lived my life. And, as a young athlete, wanting to be a high school athlete, wanting to be a college athlete, and certainly wanted to someday, be a professional athlete. And I've always been a goal-driven minded person. So I always saw the big picture, but you can't overlook overlooking the small things if you want to get to the big thing. And so my big thing was to be a varsity athlete someday from my high school, be a college athlete on campus and be a professional athlete that you get to see on television and all this thing. So that was some of my dreams. And I always, when I go out and talk to, groups, I tell them dreams do come true. And a lot of people aren't doing their plan A. A lot of people are doing their plan B jobs. They had dreams of doing something else and they decided, to settle for, plan B or C or D or whatever. But never be afraid, to dream big and say you don't have to tell the world, because a lot of people would try to steal your dreams or beat your dreams down out of you. But you just have to be resilient into yourself. And you share your dream with those who can comprehend your dream and will support your dream. And let your dream be yours and none others. I've told the story many times, over the years. When I was a youngster, I was at one of my father's softball games, and a gentleman asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I said, a professional athlete. And I didn't say professional football or baseball, but it was just professional athlete, meaning one of those two, if not both. And he told me the chances of you making the pros is 1 in a million. And my father overheard it, and he jumped in that guy's face and said, don't you ever, ever, ever tell my son what he can or cannot be. And I was like, wow, I never saw that side of my father that way toward another adult. And it left an impression on me that's lasted all my life. And I was like, wow, this man, my father believes that much in me, because my father was my hero, my best friend, my man. And he's, sticking his self on the line for me. I really got to give this all I got. Whether I make the pros or not, it won't be because of lack of effort. Because my father was there to support me. And then when my father, got into that guy's face and told him that, from that day on, all I could ever hear, because that wasn't the first time I ever heard, or the last time I ever heard, is your 1 in a million chance of making it. All I could hear from that moment on, I'm going to be that 1 in a million. So don't tell me I'm just 1 in a million. All I could hear is I'm that 1 in a million. And I was that 1 in a million. That did, fulfill, my dreams and goals that I wanted to be. And so I always get the question, even from some of my buddies today, not so much as my buddies, just some people that, which one did you have the most fun at, Keith? You had more fun in high school or more fun in college, or certainly had to be, the pros. It was just like living out all your dreams. And I was like, no, man. All 3 of those phases of my life were just phases of my life. They don't really compare. They're all unique unto themselves. The professional experience is the professional experience, not to be confused with college. The college experience is the college experience, not to be confused with high school, greater than high school, or less than the NFL. It's all unique unto itself. And the high school experience, it can't be compared to college or to professional. Now, with that being said, I know Justin, we're talking on the break, and he was telling me about a kid out of Texas who was foregoing his senior year in football. He always has a scholarship to University of Texas, and he's going to skip his senior high school season simply so to get ready for the pros. Am I saying that correct, Justin? I mean pros, I mean for college.
Yes, so he's one of the top commits for 22. And he's entering his senior season for high school this coming up fall. He's committed to Texas. His name is Jaden Blue. He's going to skip his senior season of high school to prepare for his commitment to the Texas Longhorns. And he goes on to say, I take
it he's going to be in Texas in January. He's going to be early enrollee.
And we saw a lot of guys do that with obviously with COVID and everything, we saw a lot of guys, including Trayvon Henderson and others who, of course, they were early enrollees. So you're going to see an increase in that, obviously. But he says, this has been a very difficult decision for me and my family. The running back's name is Jaden Blue, by the way. He's one of the top-ranked running backs in the 22 class. He said he's going to sit out of his senior season of high school this coming up fall to prepare for next season. He goes, this has been a very difficult decision for my family and I. Football is a brutal sport, and the wear and tear associated with the running back position is undeniable. I plan to take this time to focus on my academics while enhancing my off-the-field training and rehab regimen and everything as he prepares for the college football season. This is, you could say this might be a trickle-down effect. I can't imagine the thing we talk about these elite-level athletes like yourself, you're there, you're an elite athlete because of your talent, but you're also an elite athlete because you have that drive of, look, I'm not an elite athlete. I'm 5'5". I've been chubby my whole life, but man, when the clock would hit 0 for a game, I'm itching for the very next guy. I can't wait. I can't imagine purposely decide, if grades keep me out, fine. If my behavior keeps me out, fine. But I can't imagine just saying, you know what, I'm not going to play this year. Now, I don't have as much on the line for my future as what, elite athletes like yourself did. But can you imagine being in his situation, just saying, hey, you know what, Ohio State, they want me. There's no point. That's why I'm playing in high school, is to get that scholarship. If Ohio State already said they want me, I've already committed, and there's no point in me playing my senior year. I can't relate to that. I don't get that.
I just touched on it earlier when I said those that love the game as opposed to loving money. He doesn't love the game. He loves what the game can do for him. It has earned him a scholarship to Texas, which, let's just say put that in the money and financial. That's earned him some money. Yep. If he had to pay to go to University of Texas over 4 years, he's looking at 6 figures. That's that's worth $200,000, probably about $45,000 to $50,000 a year to with expenses to go to a college out of your own pocket. So he's making a financial decision. He loves, it's going to be paid. If I get hurt, maybe they're going to pull the scholarship. You can't think like that. Somebody's going to, want you anyway. So don't fall in love only with the logo. So I'm saying you have to love the idea of competition and competing and being there for your teammates. It's not just about a bottom line. I got my scholarship. So now once he gets to Texas, how long is he going to be successful at Texas? A year or 2 years? And then he's going to say he has a great freshman and sophomore year. He's going to forego his junior year, come getting ready for the pros.
Yeah, if he gets a good draft grade, they say, man, you're a lock as a first-round pick. Well, then what's the point of me playing my junior year and risk getting hurt? But Keith, how is this any different?
Pete.
Those who are ripping this and ridiculing this, they're also the same people, and not yourself or me. I don't like this part of college athletics, but the college football playoff has been built up to be that's the only thing that matters. College football playoff or nothing. And a lot of times, and we've seen it at Ohio State with multiple guys, if the Buckeyes don't make the playoffs, they're opting out of the bowl games and they're focusing on the NFL. So there's people criticizing this high schooler for doing what he's watching these guys in college do for the very same reasons. I'm going to skip my senior season of high school to prepare for the most important level of football in my life, and that's college. But then when you get to college, the next thing is, the most important level of football for me is the NFL. This doesn't become as important. So high school's less of a priority because you want to get to college. Then when you get to college becomes less of a priority because you want to get to the NFL. Pros. You can't criticize.
And then pros isn't less of a priority because my contract year, my hamstring's sore.
Yeah, I want that big.
I want to get that big paycheck.
Yeah,
stop it. Which is the trickle down effect from professional sports all the way down into the high school level, and maybe because you cannot duplicate tense pressure situations. I'm watching Devin Booker right now in the playoffs, and he's in his 6th year in the NBA, and he's finally getting a playoff game. He's finally seeing the difference in the intensity level from the regular season NBA, playoff season NBA. The Cleveland Browns experienced it this past season, they've only been playing 16 games in Cleveland, for over, almost 2 decades. They finally got a playoff game, because you could talk about the playoffs until you play in them. It's a different intensity level. It goes up. You hear me talk about it all the time. There's preseason intensity level, and then there's regular season. And there's regular season intensity level, and then there's playoffs. So this kid we're talking about, I need to see more of him. Yes, if I'm to University of Texas, I've seen enough. I want him and I want to sign him. Great. I'm not disputing that part. But how does he perform under pressure when you absolutely positively had to have a big run? It's 3rd and 2. They're going to give you the ball. Can you get it if everybody does their job and you do your job? Do you only have good games against lesser opponents? Do you play well against opponents that are equal on your high school level? Are you still stepping out, and no matter who you play, are you still the best player on the field? Whether your team won or lost. That's what I like to recruit, and that's who I like to say. I remember when I was coaching in Florida, it was a running back by the name of Matt Elam. He ended up being a first rounder for the Baltimore Ravens as a safety. And I was watching his high school tape, and one of the coaches walked in my office and said, "Man, which one is Matt Elam? What's his number?" I don't have to show you his number. Let's just put the film on. You'll see. Oh, that's him, number 22. They just jump off the film. Elite athletes. And he was a competitor. He wanted to compete all the time. That's what you would try to recruit. So you would try to recruit, and you want those guys in your locker room. I can't imagine. Ohio State has been guilty of it, like you said, in the past as well, of guys opting out of bowl games because they're waiting for the next team. Man, that always rubs me the wrong way, because
Nick Bosa was an injury.
Bosa, yeah.
But he was healthy enough to come back and chose I'm not even going to rehab on campus. I'm going to go live with my brother in San Diego or wherever he was living. And that was a hot button issue, at that time too.
It was. It'd always be. Will I forgive him? Of course I forgive him. But I don't like it. Time hasn't made me soften on him. Well, you still should have played. But I understand. I still don't understand. You still should have played. Who to say how that season would have changed out? You could have helped accelerate the growth of Chase Young. Y'all both, we never got to see both of y'all really coming off, both ends of chasing at the quarterback.
Or even if couldn't physically play because he's hurt, his presence on the sideline. The problem I had that year with Nick Bosa was the fact that the second he got hurt, which of course the first priority is getting him healthy because he does have a big future in the NFL, but just to drop out of school completely, then to move, then you don't see him on the sideline for the rest of the season. And then that was Urban's final year, and then they ended up getting to the Rose Bowl that year against Washington. And then there he is on the sideline soaking up all the great environment of the Rose Bowl. And I'm like,
I know.
No. I was like, you opted out. You checked out of classes completely. I wasn't a fan of that, but
I can imagine
we
Earl Bruce being the head
that
coach at the time. You wouldn't be on the sideline for Earl Bruce or Woody Hayes. That just wouldn't happen. It's different time, different era. My senior year, I had a broken foot my whole senior year, yet I still played 4 games. I was like, I'll play this Michigan game on one leg if I have to, and 1 foot. And I did. I played in the Michigan game my senior year on 1 foot, and I played until, I felt, okay, I'm hurting the team. I got to come out because my backup is, I'm giving everything I have, to it. But I could have easily took that route and be like, man, I'm going to be a first rounder anyway. I don't need to step out in this field. I could just end my season right there in September and said, let's have our operation. Let's do what all the doctors, whatever they want me to do, and whatever. But I was there trying to finish my senior season at Ohio State to be there for my teammates. It was bigger than me.
Do you think you would be a little different? Your approach to that, yes, that was your mindset, but it's also because you knew in the back of your head, your coaches weren't going to support you choosing not to play, or your teammates were going to accept it. Now times are a little different where coaches are forced to accept it.
I never cared what my coaches thought as far as in that area, because all I want to do is get back on that field. I love wearing the scarlet and gray. And I love my teammates. And I'm always, going to be there for them, and they're going to be there for me. It's a two-way street, and that you couldn't buy that, from me. Just on a quick side note, one of my former teammates, For the time you made me think of it. He's from Middletown, Ohio. Sonny Gordon. Sonny just got diagnosed, I think about a month ago now, with ALS. Same, the ALS is with William White is battling, right now. Another one of my former teammates at Ohio State. So when I found out about Sonny Gordon, I called him last week, and when I got his answer machine, and I said, "Sonny, this is your captain calling," and I'm calling, blah 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 blah. He called me back about an hour later. Hey, Cap. After all these years, I'm still his captain. And the brotherhood is always going to be there strong, and I love him and going to be there for him and support him in any way I can. That's what part of, being at Ohio State. One of the things it means to me as far as wanting to be there for your teammates, even beyond your playing days. It will always be there. And some of these guys in today's era that can step up, I can't imagine not playing for these guys. Different time, a different era. But still, I think some things are universal. They don't never go away. So the running back in Texas, his name Blue, I think he's going to regret someday not being there for his high school seniors. Now, I don't know how their season is going to end, but however it ends, it could be even better if he had played. If he's all that in a bag of chips with he's pairing the University of Texas and a few other colleges think so. I wish him the best. I never Joe wish bad on the kid, but he's passing up on an opportunity that he can't get back. So enjoy your high school days. College is not going anywhere. They'll still be here.
But you talk about that trickle down too. It reminds me like the NBA. And by the way, free agency's been around a long time. Stars have upped and moved from team to team for a long time. But it really, this past decade of when LeBron and D Wade and Bosh joined, started the big three. It wasn't just that they
super teams.
It wasn't just that they took advantage of their opportunity to get up and go find a better opportunity elsewhere. It was the starting to team up with your buddies. And back then it was Larry Bird hated MJ hated him, hated Matt. Well, like from a competitive standpoint,
sure.
They couldn't stand one another.
Not so much off the court either, because it carries over.
Yeah, and little things. I mean, that documentary with MJ, little arguments he'd get into with those guys on the golf course, and they would go on and have riffs and not talk for a while. It's crazy. But so you have college players who are watching the NBA guys do that, and that's why the transfer portal's blown up, because they just want to go team up with guys. And then it happens in high school as well. That's why there's so many times I'm looking at rosters of guys and I'm hearing how, well, this family actually is from Springfield, but now they're going to Wayne. And actually, this family lives in Trotwood, but Wayne was able to get him to go play over there. And now he's at Trotwood, but his family lives over, near
Don't
North
get started on the Catholic schools.
That's
a whole nother.
That's holy free agency right there. That's why you can't get started on that. But no, it is a trickle down. And this is the first time I always see it in basketball, how it trickles down. But football, this is the first time I've seen a football player at the high school level try to replicate what he is witnessing. The guy, the role models that you as a kid are witnessing in college. Right. That's the norm to them. He doesn't believe he's doing anything wrong because he's watching these college guys say, hey, my future is more important than this, what I'm doing now. I've done enough in my now to earn the right to go to college, or I've done enough in my now in college to earn the right to go to the NFL. I don't want to risk it.
Imagine walking his hallways on a Friday afternoon and then they got a game Friday night. This guy
big
got
as
their
hell.
jerseys on.
You ready for tonight? I ain't playing.
No, I'd be like, what? I'll be standing on the sideline watching you. I would get you. Oof.
It's like, is it grades? Because we can fudge your grades. We can give you a net. Nope. I'm just choosing not to. Oh, okay. So there's that.
Yeah, it is.
Aye.
You've been listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Hey, I'll see you guys next time on the other side. But in the meantime, wear your mask. And don't forget, do random acts of kindness for your fellow man. Have a great day. Look forward to talking to you next time.